Hello, everyone. Teresa Davis here. I have an announcement for you today. I will be starting a podcast, and it's going to be called the Grief Mentor Podcast with Teresa Davis. Those of you that subscribe here to my YouTube channel, you'll have an option of listening to the podcast through the podcast app, Apple Podcast or Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, or you'll be able to see the audio and the video here on YouTube. I wanted to let you know why I started this podcast. If you're here with me today, that probably means that you have suffered great loss in your life. Or maybe you are here because someone you love has suffered great loss and you are trying to help them navigate that. I want you to know that you are the reason why I created this podcast, because this is exactly what I needed when my son died. I needed someone to help me in the darkest days of my life, someone to help me make sense of it all. The news for us came very unexpected and sudden, and I went to bed one night content and peaceful, only to wake up the next day to have my life changed forever with no warning. And I struggled. I struggled to find my way, and I blamed God. Even though I had served him since I was 10 years old, because I didn't know this God, the God that allowed my son to die. And I was full of anger, and I told him so. That was 3 years ago. God has taken me on quite a journey. In the beginning, I struggled to see him because his face was covered in darkness. The world was moving forward without me, and my view was covered in haze. I was disoriented and confused. Sleep was definitely a thing of the past. Endless hours without answers, night after night. If this is your story, you have found a place to validate your grief. In our time together, I'm going to teach you what I've come to know, how God allowed me that space to be angry, and what he's taught me through the eyes of grief. I will provide interviews for you that'll help you navigate your journey, and tools that I've used in my journey to help me navigate my grief. I'm out of my comfort zone, but I've said yes to Jesus because my desire to help you overrides my fear. We can't make it alone. Isolation is the road to defeat. Two are better than one because they have good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. I'm so glad you're here. God has brought us together so that I can help you see him in the dark. We can do hard things when we follow the lead of the Holy Spirit. Grief has many faces, and loss has many different forms and ways that they enter our life. But Jesus is no stranger to loss, and I will help you see that he has never left you and he has never forsaken you, even when you couldn't see him or feel his presence. This is the first of 3 episodes that I will be releasing. And in the next episode, I'm going to discuss one of the biggest hurdles for the grieving heart to overcome. And this is what you can expect from the Grief Mentor Show going forward. I will produce 2 shows a month. It mainly will be a monologue type show where your host will help you move from a spirit of despair to a place where you can find hope for your future. I'll also add interviews along the way with people that you need to hear from to help you navigate life after loss. Because regardless of the source of your grief, there are common threads that bind us together. Grief affects all aspects of our lives. Together, we're going to explore these common threads, and we're going to move in a direction that stores hope. Visit my website at thegriefmentor.com for a grief survival guide. It includes the steps I used early in my journey. You will also find the rest of my story there, as well as a devotional that I wrote called Finding Hope and Healing in the Midst of Grief. It's a 30-day devotion but it also has 2 extra devotions. I call them bonuses because one was written by my daughter, Sarah, to show you grief through the eyes of a sibling, and one was written by my daughter-in-law, Erica, which focuses on the loss of her husband, Andrew. There's also a Spotify playlist that's available, and I created this, and it's called Teresa's Grief Worship. These are songs that I personally picked that have impacted my grief journey and has helped me to have a garment of praise instead of spirit of despair. When you, however you choose to listen to the material, if you listen to it on Apple Podcast or Spotify or Stitcher, you'll be able to subscribe or follow so that you don't ever miss an episode. If you're wanting to view them on YouTube, if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be able to see each time an episode is released. Now, sometimes there won't be video. If I'm interviewing a guest that does not want to have their audio shown, then you will see a picture of me. It'll be a static picture, but you'll be able to hear the audio. If you would like to receive encouragement in your inbox on a regular basis, subscribe to the Grief Mentor newsletter. And you can do that on my website as well at thegriefmentor.com. That's where you'll find the Spotify playlist as well as the Grief Mentor Survival Guide. Those are free resources. You'll also find my story there and the devotion book, and you can find that at thegriefmentor.com//shop. I am excited to spend this time with you, and I am looking forward to be able to share my journey with you. And until then, I am your host, Teresa Davis. Take care.